Well, hello there. A little bit of a start here. Just trying to get everything all squared away. That's good. That's good. Also just finished stuffing my face with dinner. Okay, so we need some stuff. Hang on. Not quite ready. Keep forgetting to change that. Hopefully it'll save. It'll make life easier next time. That is not. There we go. Get the database going. And we're going to get to some work. So, yesterday, I had a little more time than I thought I would. So I went ahead. Let me get in here real quick. We'll launch the server. And we'll get you up. I keep forgetting to... What is the... Keep forgetting Zoom. All right, I'll worry about it later. I want to get to work, and we won't be using this ID for most of the day. I don't think. So I went ahead. I went ahead and fixed the timing issues, which kind of exposed some other stuff. So if we come in here, now we get our MOTD and we get our entry broadcast, right? And if we log out and come back in, it'll fire again. This is very good. It's not quit, it's exit. This is very good, and we like this a lot. But up until now, just stop that. What do you... Sure, update your plugins. Maybe that'll fix some of the jank. Up until recently, or up until now, I guess I should say, the client handler here in I think it's up here in session. Yeah. So we just switched between these three, which, I mean, it worked for now, or for then. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do here. This is getting long and unwieldy, which makes me want to pull it apart a little bit. The other thing, though, so before, in unauthenticated, or not, sorry, not an unauthenticated, character operations, I don't know where this cough has come from. We had this idea that everything kind of resulted in one return code. Or not really code, but response. So it returned a message category, a message type, and then a byte array. Down here, submit this right here. This all used to bind and spawn the character. That was all well and good. We responded with a operation success response code, right? Ready used to live and was the thing that broadcast the MOTD. It used to live in client messages because it happened after this process, right? But here we needed to bind. One sec. Gosh. Here we need to bind still. And this used to change the state of the client. But that complicated things. Because if we waited until you were in there and ready, you missed your initial look message that kind of orients you as to where you've just spawned. And then you get an MOTD after that, and that didn't really make sense, right? So now we bind to the character, and then we wait for a ready to actually spawn you. It indicates that the client is ready, right? But this needs a couple things. So when we send the MOTD, we need to send a response, which we can still do. It just kind of breaks the pattern, right? And if the pattern is starting to break down, that kind of makes me think we need to do stuff with it. But anyway, they send the MOTD, and then we spawn into the world, and that gets you your thing. We set the state here instead of on bind, which is where we just really... now we just set the character, set up the parser, and then fire off listen and forward events. Which subscribes us to that event stream from the character, right? So all of this is kind of becoming unwieldy. We also have, pardon me, these enter-exit message things, and I remembered why we did that. It's because we want to pass in room events to the event stream, right? So that we can handle it appropriately. And appropriately for this handler is to build these nice, pretty strings for a human user, right? One second. My sinuses have decided to rebel. Okay, so all of this is kind of becoming a ball of mud, right? But it's all very necessary mud. So what I think we want to do, and if you've been looking over here, you probably know what's coming. Spoilers. The other thing is the tests. I'm pretty sure that it has bit me before that looking through the logs gives us misleading messages right now. These tests are currently broken because we changed the login flow. So we need to send a ready, but when it wants to send those messages to us in character operations, my inclination was to follow the pattern, right, where we log errors and then roll back to logging out, because obviously something has gone wrong. So because there is no channel, because we're testing just the function, because there's no channel, we end up rolling back and we fail. So we could just not roll back, but we want that. So it just becomes messy, right? And I think in this case, the best way to test this, normally I do like to test the functions themselves when it makes sense, right? When it's like a REST API or something like that, I usually default to testing the functions because they have very deterministic output. It generates a response, usually not a stream of responses, right? This is kind of a stream of responses. The other thing that I'm thinking about is there might be times when we want to um, queue up, multiple streams like this that are coming in out on like a timer or something. If we kick off like a timed event or something, and I don't know if that would be happening here or not, or if it would do something else. But like, just the idea that we might want to do that kind of occurred to me. We won't really worry about it too much, but just a thing. Thought. Food for thought. So, how are we going to do this? I'm really starting to think about breaking these out into state. We'll do an interface for the states. We'll put them into their own files. They can hold their logic for their states with an enter function, so that we could say, hey, when I enter the character selected, I think is what it's called, state, right now, I need to make sure that I set up my listener and that I have my character bound and whatever else, right? We might move it in there still. Hard to say. But also, if I exit that state, then I need to log out. I need to make sure that my character is nilled. I need to shut down my stream, all that stuff, right? I have to go take an allergy medicine or something. I hope it's that I'm not getting sick with something. Anyway, so first things first, we need to refactor the tests because the net behavior of this, the output from this function, for this package rather, is going to be the same. So right now, all these tests except for these three pass, and we know why they fail, right? So we need to refactor the testing to use a client and just actually hit this thing, I think. And we'll have to do some helpers and kind of mock up a client, basically. A very simple client. But that'll give us the baseline behavior tested in a more correct way, a way that doesn't lead me down bunny trails in the future, because I'm 90% certain this is the second time, yesterday was the second time, that I've been confused by its inability to have the connection because I forgot we didn't set up a connection. Not ideal. So, we'll refactor the tests, get them spiffy, and then we'll go refactor this, figure out a better way, probably using some kind of a state machine type thing. This one can be a little more simple than the character state machine because we don't really want overlying behaviors. So it can be just a map, kind of like we did with the client states here, stages. Sure, you can restart. So, that's what we're going to start tackling today. And we'll keep you around just in case we need to do anything with the client. As soon as you actually launch, there we go. Okay. So, we need to... Fortunately, I just threw away my old client that was in Go, which is kind of funny. And I could go dig it up from the history, but I could also go look at the docs again. And I'm not using... Oh, hey, look, somebody... Somebody's talking about WebSockets 2025. Not really anything interesting there. Just a link to the library we use, which is fine. Actually, that's an interesting point. What version are we running? Have I updated Go lately? I think there were like a couple of different security patch releases. Are you just raw version? There you go. Okay, yeah, 125.0. 125.1. We should be on. Let's do that really quick. Might as well. Okay, got that. Oops. And that. And that. And that. Oh my gosh. I can't type today. Okay. Upgrade completed there. Let this double check. Okay, there was an upgrade here. Interesting. Let's just do a dependency update quick while we're here. Let's close that up for a second. Okay. Red text worried me for a second, but we're good. And let's double check and make sure that everything is still good. We should see 3 tests fail in total for this guy, right? Meow, which will fix those along the way. Sure, whatever. Stop. Go away. Getting ahead of myself and being impatient. It's got to build everything. Okay. Okay. Yes, that looks good. Let this go again. Now we can start. Okay. Let's exit. There we go. Okay. I'm quite happy that it seems things are working. Do a quick push for that. We'll minimize that. All right, now let's go back to where I was. We've updated this. We should be good to go there. And where was your docs? Man. Let's see here. Here's the client example. Okay, easy enough. But this is going to also involve. Let's leave that open. WebSocket server. We don't actually have any tests for this because new server. Okay, yeah, we can do that. Let's do that while we're here. We don't have any tests because like this, nothing really. We can actually just delete this. We don't really do anything in here other than get it set up, right? I guess we could check protocols and stuff. Let's pull you back over. We can test we'll just chuck ourselves a note in there for later. I don't know if we'll do that. Yeah, we won't do it today for sure, but we'll probably do that as part of this. So in order to do these tests, we'll need a server. So in here, This takes a client handler because it needs to eventually pass it. Which... all database and stuff. Game map. Game manager config. Yeah, we don't have a client handler. Okay. This is a game client. So we create a new... yeah, okay, yeah. We create a client for each of these. It's actually a config for a client handler. This takes the config. So we need to break these out into configs is what we need to do. Which is fine. That'll be our first. We're in the client handler over here, so it's just a config. This is log. This is test GM. This is... do we not have... we do. What are you? Where are you? Parent DB. Oops. Screwed that up. There. Now you can use that. This will put you into the unauthenticated state, which is perfect, which we've been doing anyway. Then we need WebSocket server. New server. How did we set this up? I don't think protocols actually matters in this case, but let's double check. New logger. Their manager, new manager. Config.protocol. Okay. So yeah, we can just make up our own. For the test, it doesn't matter. This is just like almost like a versioning sort of thing so that we know. Because it should end up being like mud v1 or something like that. That's what I called it. But this... can just be test. And then a logger and our config like so. This returns no errors, right? Yes. And then we do serve HTTP. Gotta remember how I wired this up. I think there's just a route. Ah, we need to set up an HTTP server. That's what it is. And give this as the handler. Okay. And this can be that. That comes in here. That doesn't need to be there because we've already given you as a handler. What is our config server address? That's a string. Oh. I have done a Dart in Go. There we go. Let's put it on a different port. That way we can still run tests while we're running an instance. Actually, let's do this. That'll fix that. And then I immediately did the wrong thing. And I forgot to do that. That's fine. Can I make you? I can. Not that it really matters, but you know. And then here, I'm still doing this the old way. I should fix that. Yeah, we'll do that. But we're going to defer in this case. What is the shutdown? Oh, right. Yeah, I need to move this. That's fine. This needs to be here. Hey, thanks for that follow. Appreciate you. I'm gonna copy this because I hate the context block. So that this can have its context that it wants. It'll just defer this whole thing. This has got to return an error. This should probably be... It won't really matter because it's the end, but we'll do that anyway. We'll throw that there. Okay, now we need to do probably some helpers to clean this up a little bit. We're done with all this for right now, I think. We're not done with the docks over here, though. So what we need... I kind of want to put it up here, I think. Because we're going to want to hold it open after we dial it. I want to set this up. I'm going to want to... probably just have a struct. And it's going to have... which is a... Is that what you returned me? Yeah, we'll check in a second. This will be a method, so we need to figure out all of these bits and pieces. We need to call connect on this thing, which is going to... No, we don't want to pass that. We're going to just leave it. We're going to use the test server address constant here. That's what we're going to do. So this is, let's use their example, and we'll tweak it from there. We do need the context block. Blech, cancel. Context, with timeout. This will be that. That's way too much. That's an eternity. Defer the cancel. But then here, context. This needs to be that, which is that, and then they've gone nil here, but I need to They have changed this. Okay, con and error. I don't know what this used to be. Their example seems to be wrong. Cool. So I don't need context here. This is going to return an error. So we need our URL string, which is this, origin. I don't know that we need an origin. Protocol we do need. We'll just do a constant for you as well. We'll do that. And then what else? Origin. Can't do that. It's empty. Empty string. That's fine. That. Not error. Nil. And then you are a WebSocket connection. That's what you are. So if we're good here, then that. And then we're going to do this. I don't know if this is going to return anything, but we're going to do close. Are you going to return an error? You are. Client. Regardless here, we're actually going to do that. We're also going to need look at I need their echo example. Could also probably just look at my stuff. Let's look at the docs first. This client is not terribly useful. We need a couple more things in here, if I remember correctly. This should probably be moved to close. We'll worry about that later, though. Where did we do session? So rate limiter, we don't want that. We're going to need a reader right here. That's what we're going to need. What are we gonna? How are we gonna pipe these over though? In this case, we just make it part of this. We don't really want to implement this in each test. But we do need to get back the result. When we see, this is the other reason I tested this as functions. When we put data in, we're going to expect a return, right? But there could be other things that come out too. The other option I don't want this to be fragile. Um, We might still be able to do this. Let's just see how far we get with this idea. This is going to take a protocol message. And then send response, so it's going to return also a protocol message. This is then going to do, okay, so we have we could also return an error here. Oops. You can say error an empty message, and then we can just do that. Otherwise, we write it. This is probably an error. I don't care about the number, but no new? Yeah, no new. Like so. Now here, it's not an error. Reader? No. What was the... Was that example for... What calls you, though? Channel... super helpful to me either. That's for sure the way we do it on the server side. Socket con. Socket accept. Accept the protocols. That's the server side, though. Maybe it's still not what I need. What? What's going on here? Very confused. I'm gonna go look at my Wasn't that, it was... Server read. Connection reader. I've got you imported. Ah. This is the wrong WebSocket, I bet. That's what's going on. That's why I'm so confused. And nothing makes any sense. Yeah, now reader works. Okay. Back on the right track, I think. I hope. Let's go back to their example here. Okay. Client. Still dial. But we do need a context here. Like so. This takes context, then the URL, right? Yes, and then nil for dial options. Okay. Oop. Yes, that was correct. And then you hold the response. I don't know why it gives it needs to be response. I don't care about it. There. Perfect. Now, this needs to be... This is just an error. No bytes to throw away. But this also needs a context. I'm hoping that I can still get away with this. So you need context, a type. What was I doing? When I sent you... Let's dial... Write with type. Message text. That's what I was doing. I don't remember why we didn't use binary. That's fine. We'll go with that for now because this is what we were using before. I want to say that binary had sort of an issue. UTF-8 encoded text messages like JSON. Oh, binaries for binary messages like protobufs. Okay. And we're just using JSON right now. That's why we did that. I guess that makes a degree of sense. It is a byte array, but we'd probably need to do something else to process it. I haven't really played with protobufs. Okay, so then that fixes up our sender. This also needs the same context. We can reuse it. And it's going to return a message type. And error. And this needs to be in a for loop here. Because it could be multiple things coming in. If this is not nil, though, I almost want to return a list of messages, I think. Let's do that. That. And then we need to do that, correct. How do we do that? I think I need read all. It's io.readall. Okay. Read all. Response IO reader. Let's actually call you IO reader. Like so. And then we can oh no, we need to do thinking about how to handle this. How do we know when we're done, right? And then we do write data into server apply. Last check, I hope. Like so. Okay. Meow. Let's call you this will be an int. This will be a list. Which means that this, and this can all be nil. This is closed now in this version. There we go. Or in this library, I should say. There we go. That's coming together. So what we're going to do... I'm going to just do that. I can't remember if new returns a pointer. We want make. And then 0. That's what we want. Okay, and then... So in here, we do... that. No? Oh, I can't do that. I just need to do that. And then I need to do that, and then that, and that's all good. Okay. And then if we don't want to disconnect, we just want to say if I want to also make sure this is all fine. We don't need a waiter because that's for throw or not for throttling. I believe that this is going to wait. Yeah, until there's a WebSocket data message to be read. Okay. This is going to be like 5. This should be very fast. That way, if it times out, we'll get an error back out of it. Otherwise, if we reach what we want, then we spit them out. Okay, I think hopefully that's enough scaffolding to get us started here. So, our create account. We need to look to client handler to properly, so we're unauthenticated, to properly format this message. So what we need to send is protocol registration. So it's a So we don't care about the type here? Yeah, okay. I don't know that I love that, but we're going to go with it. So what we need to do, registration, should be an account, a protocol account in here. Okay. So we do that. Listen and serve. I guess we can do that. I think we also need to double check though. Always returns a non-nil error. If the error is not nil, hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. We need to say, this not isn't, and what was the error server closed? And it doesn't really matter if it's fatal or not because it'll be at the end, but that's fine. And then we also need to disconnect. Oh no, I didn't do. I need you. To still be a thing. What's going on? My IDE? Hello? What going on there? Like half frozen. There we go. Okay. Killed my clipboard, but that's okay. We'll just rebuild that. Test clients. Oh, I think, I think we did. I think we made a mistake here when we were doing this. Because we don't want to have this in each of the deals. Let's put you in connect. Oh, okay, never mind. I see. I'm getting confused. This is my client. This is my server. Or not that. Weird to think from both sides. This is going to be the test protocol log. That. Okay. Now we're back on track. Actually, we could do this after all of this. In our defunct, or the defer func, actually. We can add to this. We're going to shut down the server. And we need a new client. We also need to Is there not a shutdown for that? Am I confused? Ah, because as part of this, we shut down. Okay, yeah, so we're good there. We don't actually need that. Okay. I'm still on track. I just need to undo that. Okay. So we're good with that for a defer. What we need here is and we call connect on you. We need all of this. Just thinking about my defers. Let's do this after this. We can still do that. This can still be fatal, but we need to also do if I could type today, it would make this so much easier. There we go. But this can still be a fatal error. Yeah. I got an error in there too. We'll do our due diligence. I just double. I did. That's fine. This as well. Doesn't need to be a fatal F, just fatal error. Okay. So all of that should give me what I need. Now I need to do this. Which we need to do as vertical message, fill the fields. You are registration? Type. I think client submit is what we were using. Version. This needs to contain an account, test username, test password, test email. Okay. This guy is going to end up going away. I think we can still get in there, but this we need to that otherwise tuck you in there. Now is fine. We don't care about that so much. Then send and await replies. Test register request. We're expecting one reply from this. This is going to give me reply list error. We'll do that. Now, this isn't equal to 1. The unexpected, and we can actually just do this, and it'll make sense in a minute. It's actually going to be D, and this is, and that's, and then that, like so. Make sure everything's happy here. Okay. Now, we need to then, these aren't going to be ion marshaled. Yeah, we're good. Perfect. Okay. Let's just pull that out. This should be the category. This should be M type. This can still be content. And then this, okay, our not client. Can I not get? Oh, it's my client handler. Ah, it's not. I don't have a way to get a handle on that. It only exists wrapped up inside of this, so I can't test the state. I would like to test the state. Let's test this really quick and see. Okay, we got some trubs. Client handler. Wait, who in my circular WebSocket server imports you? Ooh. Ooh. I didn't even think about that. That's deeply unfortunate. That's a really big oversight. Oh. Oh no. Okay, so how am I going to do this without circular imports? I mean, we would have to do... We'd have to like do our own test server, which would kind of be a duplicate of this, which would suck a lot. But this just flat out cannot not have a client handler in it, because that's the whole premise of it, is that when I serve an HTTP request, it gets upgraded to a WebSocket connection, and then goes off into client handler to be serviced. I would need to move the client handler stuff, or the client handler test, out of client handler itself. If I put you up here, all of these are going to be broken, but that's fine as long as... Oh, we would have to put you... put you back in here for a second. What do we have in here right now? We just test the right config. Could put you in there, I suppose. And that would put us outside of both. Oh, that shouldn't be that anyway. That's going to be a little bit broken. We can fix this really quick while I kind of think. Most of this is just WebSocket. The only thing we have that actually gets into that is here, I'm pretty sure. Crap. I think we're going to have to put this in the main test, which I'm okay with. Because it is kind of more almost an integration test at this point. So I can put it up there. We're just going to have to kind of stitch things together a little bit. And we can maybe keep some of these things in the client handler test land. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. I'm not sure how much value there is still in them at this point, though, with this method, right? But let's kind of start pulling things over here. We've got setup errors. We're going to need these for sure. We're going to need... We won't need configs. We will need the map. Because we have test... Oh, we got that. Okay. Let's actually put these up with our other constants. We're going to need this guy. Not sure why I put them above const. Let's put them below const. What are we using you for? Character manager. We might need... We're going to need our test client still that we just wrote. That can live up here now. Sure, we get all of our context and all that, all of our imports in. Okay, perfect. We're going to need a test map config because we got to spawn people into it. Our little test people. Okay. This. We're going to do that. Does this... No seems to be the answer. Test config though. That does have database. Okay, that's all fine. This probably needs to be real. That. Oh, whoops, I put you in the wrong spot. Don't steal my password, guys. Okay. And then I don't think, because this is main, it should create flippy flop you. We load that all up. No, this isn't going to create these because it's not going to run main. So we still need to pull over. This we can do. Why did we bother writing our config file to file? Oh, because we wanted to test loading. Okay, yeah. That makes sense, I guess. That's all fine. I don't care. It can stay. We're going to need a dirter burst. And where were you? That. You were just, I don't remember why we did that. There was a reason it made it easier to read. This, we have test config, database config. Perfect. And then, place, here we go. We pull these over. We need to pull this, probably both of these over. Okay. I did this after here, so we'll keep on. Keep to the same pattern. I don't remember why I did it exactly yet at this point, but that's fine. You're mad because you don't get used yet. I did that. I also want to we'll do this right before. We need to have our map config file over here. Okay. Probably over here is the dupe. Yeah, okay, that's fine for now. Then I need also to do test game manager. That should silence all of those red squiggles. Okay. Let me write all the other stuff. We write that test attribute path. Think you'll be okay there? Test config stir. Test config stir. Test config file. Map config live next there. That'd be fine. Okay. In our defer, we still remove all, but we also need to do this stuff as well. Okay. Now, this should still run. Except I've got a nil pointer. In logging. In data, this has to be nil here because in our setup, not there. In here, after I do the log, I need to say that. So that gets set correctly. Connection error. Okay, authentication failed. So I messed up something here. Localhost, port. Oh, username is test user. Invalid namespace specified. Main test.characters. Ah. That's not allowed to have space, I bet. Okay. Error loading map, so we didn't write. Something happened there. Oh, it's because we had to make dir. I bet you it's... There's an error of type path error. Bet we did that twice. No? We did it 0 times. Or 1 time, but we can put you there. That's fine. There we go. Bad loaded config. Because it's gonna suck. Is it the database config? It is. we can say that the wanted and got is still what's going on there? Hi to you too. We think here. It's because when we do this, this over here, when we actually do it for realsies, when we load this, big map config, we want database config. Yeah. We add this on the fly. Load config. We create a new logger and we put you in there. Why would that? So where do you get your idea of a log from? Your nil here. And if we wrote you the map, marshaled config comes from test config. We're going to pull this apart a little bit. We're going to pull this down here. That can use that. I'm going to put back that little brace that I forgot. This can live here. That will allow us to pull this back to just being nonsense data. That's fine. We don't need that. Hang on. That goes away. Then we cut this. And then we'll move that in a second. For test load config, put you in here. Doesn't need a var declaration anymore. We can walrus it. We're going to move this all down into there. Doesn't need to be the main setup for this test. We can get rid of that. This becomes fatal test errors. We don't need those at all. We've made it in the test main. That's fine. This can still be marshaled in there because we need to load the map to make it into a real map. We need the map config, and it's easier just to write the file. Okay, that hopefully fixes this up. Reminds me I need to do this. Got to launch. While I was being all busy. That can go away. Okay. Now. This, we need to also make sure that we compared you against test config. Where did this come from? How was this test passing before? It's got bogus data in here, which is correct for a test, right? But this is loading always from that. That's weird. And this should really be, or no, Should be this, I believe. This should be more like that. This would be that. I don't know what I was thinking there, really, but let's fix that up. Or load. Test main configs. Wrong one. That should still be server, I believe. There we go. Very confused as to what I did there. We don't need to load this. This is really more of a sanity check anyway. We don't want to do that. This goes into config directory. Oh, you know what I think I did? I think I was putting them in a subdirectory or something. Either way, that's not what we want to do. This we also want this right config. And it's only actually used in this test, right? Meow. That's fine, though. And then we can just read it back. This should just be result. It's really just a sanity. That's fine. This is new config. Wait a minute, we already had that. This should be more like that. And then this should be... because we don't want to step on this test, right? Or have it step on us. So... this isn't correct. It should be join. And then this should be... don't need that. This can come down here so it's easier to read. This I want you to write. And do you handle... no, you don't. So I'm going to need to make the directory just to be sure. That. This. We'll do that. And we'll let cleanup worry about you. No such file or directory. Because we put that. It needs to be here. Hey, how's it going? Server config file name. It's not much up to fixing a test and moving some tests around and just, you know, causing all kinds of trouble. What about you? Right config is the new config into the subfolder. That should work. Leg dying due to lack of blood due to cat. I mean, that will happen. Let's debug this one really quick. Figure out what I'm doing stupid. Okay. Spent most of today working on my shitty notes app. Nice, nice. Hey, I mean, that's progress, right? Where? There we are. I've got a test map in there right now. Should have made subfolder, and it did. So it's in here that we have the bug. Oops. Do this. We have our marshaled. Looks good. Pretty it. File path. Write test folder. Ah. Because I'm silly. This should be the full path. Creating it if necessary. So I made this shitty C# notes app at first just to figure out how to write files in C#, then I actually spent 6 hours on it. Yep, got it, to the point of being decently usable, then passed out. Today I woke up, just decided to continue working on it. Added config so you can change how your notes show up. Cool. Rock on. Oh, because I forgot to also update. That is why. Okay. CLI notes app to clarify. Cool. I mean, that's rad. It's still rad. Doing things always better than not doing things. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. Still not very good. I mean, that's fine. You've worked on it for like 2 days, you know? It'll be bad for a hot second. Let's do I just checked your videos. They're dope, man. Cool. Appreciate you. You're going to blow up. Remember when you blow up? Well, I don't want to blow up. That sounds awful and painful and messy. But no, I appreciate you. We'll see what happens. I also set up my Conky to show my notes. Conky. I'm not familiar with Conky, I don't think. It doesn't ring a bell. What I want to do here... Test. Why are you staged? I want to only do that. There we go. We're going to commit and say, refactor fig tests to be more independent of main. Start bringing in parts needed to add client testing, I guess we could say. Conky's Linux app that'll show a customizable menu on your desktop meant to show like hardware tests. Oh, okay, gotcha. Like a NeoFetch for your desktop. Gotcha. So it's like a widget for Plasma or GNOME. Kind of cool. Rock on. Okay, gotcha. All right, so now we've got that. Let's bring over this test because it has been converted. And you can go down there, that's fine. This is a client handler config. Like so. We need to import errors so we can check that. Count created. This is... Wait, what? This is the message, right? This is accept. Do I want to export these? Works on XFC, Hyperland, i3, Plasma, Gnome, Mate, Cinnamon, release anything around Windows. Okay, cool. I have not messed with that. I was thinking Plasma because they like to start things with a K, and I was wondering if maybe you were just spelling it like a sane person. Conky with a K. I guess I can export these. There's no real harm in it. Oops. May regret that later, but we'll find out. Probably not, because it's behind the namespace. Main test. Now I can do that. Now I can do that. And if I haven't completely screwed up my test client implementation, which I probably have, but we'll see. Okay. Something's hanging. It's not good. It's got to be in our send and await replies. Turning should break that. Do I still have... Oh, you know what? It's in here. This. This needs to be a go routine. Oops. Another one of them. Still missing one. Ah. That's fine. Well... That's fine, because it's gonna, that's in the, okay, yeah. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Oh. That changed. Errors in different scopes. There we go. Okay. Connection refused. And everything explode. Okay, that's fine. Let's start with... Oh, that's in WebSocket. I don't want that. Right here. Okay, so close now. This was a nil. We need to go up here, actually. One too many. There we go. This... test server address. Let's make sure that fixed our panic. Okay, good, it did. Connection was refused, though, for 8989. Paradigm test server. I don't think I need to... Connection confused or refused is a very confusing answer. Hey, Bitmaze, how's it going? Why would you be refused? If for some reason we weren't able to start this, theoretically we'd see the error. I guess unless it got spit out up here. Oh, you know what? I bet Invalid client. Okay, so we got further. All right. So what we need to do actually here. Port is that we can still do this like so. No probs. Up here in connect though, we need this to be, and then that should give us the same output. Not bad, bit have been. Not too shabby. Doing pretty much. We're doing. How's about you? Oh, there we go. Inbound client protocol. So now we just need to fix up. And I believe that's because test protocol. But we didn't set in our dial. Bet you it's in dial options. Yes, dial options. We don't need that. We don't need that. Maybe? Can't quite remember. Oh, this needs to be a pointer, right? It does. Yes, perfect. Okay, so we got our account have been created. Yes. All right. Now we're cooking. So here's what we're going to do. Client handler here. We're going to roll you back because the only thing we changed was everything set up for this before we discovered that I totally forgot circular imports would be a problem. We'll go into here. What did I change in here? Oh, I changed those. Yeah, those need to change. This right here, we are going to roll back. Just you, perfect. Because we don't need to change them. That's just going to break all of my... Because these weren't refactored. Easy enough to fix up. Go find where we have right here. What else we got? Login message. Oops. Place all of those. Let's see. Not too shabby. Work's been a bit weird. We got a riff of like 400 employees. Yeah. So we'll see if we survive. 70% of QA. Like, right? Like, bruh. Right? Had a great time working on side project. You explained what this engine did last time I was here, and it was something to do with graphics, right? It's a mud engine. Looked very cool, but outside of my wheelhouse. Tool like rough. I don't know what rough is. When you refactored, did VS miss it or you manually refactoring? So I rolled back changes to this file because it had a bunch of stuff I didn't want to keep. because we're in the process of refactoring this to use a web socket client instead of just testing the functions, because it's getting to the point where there's too many things going on in the process. So the one that kind of kicked this all off. So earlier, I'm not in the right file. I am in the right file. It's just buried. Okay, so for one thing, it's hard to navigate this file. It's getting too big. We need to break it up. But the main thing is, client message used to have a ready. It listened for a ready message from the client that would show the MOTD. But when we made you get spawned in as soon as we bind to you, which would be in not unauthenticated, it'd be in character operations. When we reworked this to log you in and spawn the character, we end up missing the orientation initial look of the room that you spawn into and the MOTD. So this was all built on the sort of premise that there is a single return from each of these, which has worked up until now. But I had to pull out. So character operations now also listens for a ready. So when the client selects a character, it gets a response back that says, yes, you're good. I'm bound to you. You're good to log in. It changes to the game screen and then says, hey, my client is ready. So then we spawn you, and we also show you the MOTD. So now you get all the information, but that really exposed the flaw that, like, sometimes I need to send multiple things, right? So I was testing not with a client because that's very hard to do, which is why I spent 2 hours to almost 3 hours now setting it up, right? I was just testing functions directly, which is kind of my preferred method for like a unit test-ish type thing. But yesterday I spent way too long chasing bunny trails because I had a message in the log saying, hey, I don't have a connection to my client. It's gone away. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a problem. It didn't have a connection because there's no connection. I was testing the function, right? So instead of like mocking a connection and doing all this other stuff, just use the real machinery is my go-to, right? And that allows us to support the idea that, hey, I might get multiple responses from an action. And that's going to continue as we go forward too, I think. Kind of the plan. So I'm pulling these tests over into using an actual WebSocket connection so that it's easier to debug and it's more representative. It's more of an integration test. So yeah, when I moved over here, I was refactoring in place here, which would have been fine, except for I needed to circularly import to the WebSocket server in order to set up the server, which is a no-no in Go. So we're moving it to main. And I wanted to roll back the changes in here because they don't need to be made over here. We want to keep this as it is for right now. We'll see if there's any value that we can salvage out of here in test terms, and go from there. Or they might just, a lot of them might get deleted, and either way, that's fine. We just need to work through it in a sane way. Okay, so that will fix that. Oop, I missed one. Why did you choose to do monolith versus having a auth microservice? Because there's no reason to have a microservice in this case that I can think of. It just didn't seem necessary. Do you store your info from the WebSocket using Redis, or are you just transmitting them directly? I do no storing. The signals come into the server, it acts upon them, and then it returns information to you. Whoop. So there's no storage needed. Right now, the only thing that we store is account information, which is just early days. It's like not it's all just strings, but it's fine for now, right? We're in development land. And character information. There's no actual state just yet that gets saved, so every time you spawn at 0, 0. As I work through all the other bits and pieces of it, right? Eventually, they will be state will get written to the database periodically. Part of what the jobs of the different modules will do is to be able to store their state. But that's mostly just for almost like a backup, right? The active state lives in memory. So it's for if you log out, for instance, the state should be saved before you do that of your character. Where are you? Anytime you equip things or whatever, you're going to want that to stay, so that'll need to be saved. But that's all just going to get written to the database. Sorry for the spam. Hope it's not too distracting. No, you're good. If I wanted to quietly code and never talk, I would not be on a stream. Yeah, the idea is that this server is a single binary. The editor will be a binary, and then the client will be a binary. So you basically provide a Mongo server, change the config files to the correct locations for whatever that is for you, and then it should mostly take care of itself, is kind of the goal. And then the editor will help you to build your game with the engine. And then anything you want beyond that, you're just going to have to dive into code or something. I don't know how it's going to work all just yet. Oh, I missed something. That's what I was doing. I swear. Oh. Must have screwed the pooch on that one. There we go. Okay. Now, in theory, aside from these ones that are broken because we changed the login flow, these should all currently still be passing. And that's the other part of, yeah, there we go. Okay, perfect. That's the other part of this. The other goal of this operation is that I want to refactor the client handler to make it easier to work with. Probably put these guys into a state so that we can have initialization and state enter, state exit sort of cleanup and setup. And that'll hopefully make things a little bit more streamlined to work with. And then I can break these out into like separate files, because right now this is, almost 1,000 lines and it's starting to get awkward. Maybe just my inexperience talking, but I thought for auth, it was always recommended to run auth with a third-party service. So you would have like a Docker with just the auth logic. So if you need to scale up, you can do so without impacting your private server. Or it would be this engine should never have so many connections that auth would ever impact other parts of the engine. More or less, yeah. I don't think that many people are going to play it, right? It's a mud. There are not that many people still playing muds. So I'll need to do like bcrypt or something for passwords and stuff in there, but like it's not exactly a critical system, So I'll have to dig in and figure out what the most sane way to do that is, but like, it's a game, Like it's not an excuse to store plain text passwords, but okay, I think we're good. We just want to break up our changes here really quick. So let's do this. So that was the refactor config test that we did. Okay, perfect. So these, the client handler and its test, export the message strings. What is that? Oh, lurk. Gotcha. Well, enjoy your lurk. I'll be getting off here pretty soon. I'm already an hour over, but I wanted to get at least one test up and running today, and then we can start moving the rest over tomorrow. But I do need... Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But yeah, I did want to just get some progress, right? Oh, crap. I did. Sort the message strings in client handler. And then, what do we still got in here? We got WebSocket server, which we changed. Oh, we just sorted. Okay. Oh, crap. That. Okay. This commit, we do sort import, or just housekeeping, sort import, and add note for future me. And then last one, bring over first client integration test. Okay, nicely broken up for the future. Okay. I think we're done in there for now, hopefully. I think we're done in there for now, hopefully. We'll leave you over here in case we need to refer to you for some reason. Oops. And then... about how to leave. I want to leave these or just start deleting them now. I think we're going to leave them for now. It should be fine and dandy enough to... Let's see, is there anything here we can extract cleanly? I don't think so. As long as we want to have a client for each of these, which we do for Right Meow, that's going to be the answer for that, I think. Okay. I think that's where we'll call it for today. Tomorrow, now that we have everything set up and correct and working, we have our client that we can mock in. Tomorrow we will do test port over a fawn, basically. So, if you like this kind of thing, I do this thing usually 4 days a week. Uh-oh. What's going on there? Oh. You triggered Nightbot. Okay, I need to... Hang on. I'm gonna make myself a note. Fix Nightbot Twitch emote penalty. Nightbot's a little touchy. Yeah, no worries. Let's see. Yeah, you can disregard that warning. You're fine. I'll fix that. Anywho, I do this thing 4 days a week, starting, well, 4-ish, a minimum of 4, starting today, ending on Monday. So if you like this kind of thing, you'd like to see more, I'd love to see you again. Thank you to everybody who showed up and chatted. It was great to see you all. I do this thing at 8 p.m. Central Time. So show up at that time. Twitch, you have a schedule. YouTube, you don't. Tell YouTube to make it easier for me. I'll give you one. But yeah, love to see you again. If not, you guys have a great weekend anyway, and we'll catch you some other time. Thanks again, everybody.